It was a crisp Thursday morning in November, and the early chaos of the holiday season was already creeping in. The sun slipped through the heavy gray clouds, washing Washington, D.C. in a soft glow. But inside Barack and Michelle Obama's home, something felt different. The warmth filling the house wasn't just coming from the oven. This Thanksgiving wasn't shaping up to be their usual one, not even close. This year, something unexpected was unfolding. And trust me, you won't believe what came next. For the first time in decades, the Obama family wasn't gathering just for a holiday dinner. They had come together for something far more intimate. This Thanksgiving had nothing to do with speeches, politics, or the public eye. Barack and Michelle were getting ready to welcome a new member into the family. But here's the twist. They weren't just becoming grandparents. They were stepping into something they never thought would come this soon. It was Malia, their eldest, who had brought the surprise. She had quietly stepped into motherhood, and the world had no clue what kind of shift that would bring. In the weeks before Thanksgiving, Malia had slipped away from the spotlight entirely, embracing her new role so quietly that even close friends barely noticed. But on this cold morning, everything changed. Her baby girl was about to become the star of the day, and the entire house was glowing with joy. Barack, usually the calm, controlled leader who had faced global storms, suddenly found himself in a moment he was completely unprepared for. Holding his granddaughter for the first time wasn't just sweet, it was emotional on another level. The moment she curled her tiny hand around his finger, everything else fell away. The man who had handled some of history's biggest moments was now stunned into silence by a newborn. A soft whisper slipped out of him. "How did we get here?" A tear welled up, and although he brushed it away quickly, everyone saw it. The strong, unshakable figure who once faced down world leaders was undone by this tiny little girl. Michelle, on the other hand, was already drowning in feelings. She'd always been the steady heart of the family, guiding her daughters with warmth and strength, but watching Malia cradle her baby awakened something deeper inside her. She sat quietly beside the crib, running her fingers across the soft blanket, whispering, "I remember when you were this small." A bittersweet smile crossed her face. Her daughter, her baby, was now a mother. And the most intriguing part? No one really knew how this new chapter would look. Malia, the family's most private soul, had become a mother without a single headline. No baby shower, no press storm, nothing. She had built her own quiet world to experience this life-changing moment away from expectations. Always the independent, observant daughter, she now carried a new, calm confidence that was impossible to overlook. As the hours passed, the weight of the moment settled in. This wasn't just another Thanksgiving filled with turkey and tradition. It was a generational shift, one that bound the family together in a way none of them anticipated. And here's where things got interesting. No one expected how this tiny baby would completely reshape the family dynamic. Destiny took a turn no one was ready for. As the day slipped by, the house found a new rhythm. Barack, who once stood in rooms with some of the world's most powerful people, now sat quietly rocking his granddaughter, staring down at her like she was the only thing that existed. His confidence, built over years of global crises, softened as he hummed an old lullaby he used to sing to Malia and Sasha. For once, his mind wasn't filled with policy or pressure. It was just him and this tiny new life. And the joy he felt in that moment outranked any political victory he ever knew. Michelle, too, was caught in the enormity of it. Raising Malia and Sasha had brought its own battles and blessings, but seeing her eldest step into parenthood filled her with peaceful joy. She opened a small box of keepsakes, tiny clothes and old little socks. Holding up a pair of pink baby socks, she whispered, "These were yours, Malia, and now they're hers." The truth hit her hard. Time had passed, the next chapter had begun, and she wasn't just mom anymore. She was grandma. Sasha, the free spirit of the family, couldn't stop smiling. It wasn't just because she was now Aunt Sasha. It's because something inside her had shifted too. She looked down at her niece with a sparkle in her eyes. She'd always brought art, energy, and fun into family gatherings, but today she felt a new purpose. Cradling the baby, she whispered, "I'm going to be the cool aunt." And she meant it, not just with fun, but with love, guidance, and devotion. By the time dinner was ready, the house was filled with the classic smells of Thanksgiving: turkey, mashed potatoes, and Michelle's famous sweet potato casserole. But honestly, the food didn't matter. Every eye kept drifting back to the bassinet beside Michelle's chair. The baby had become the quiet centerpiece of the entire day. Barack and Michelle passed her back and forth throughout the meal, both wearing soft smiles that rarely left their faces. this wasn't the usual Thanksgiving. This was a beginning. When Barack asked everyone what they were thankful for, the room went quiet. Sasha spoke first. "I'm thankful for new beginnings," she said, glancing at the baby, "and for the little girl who made me an aunt." Everyone fell silent for a moment, understanding just how different this Thanksgiving truly was. Michelle followed. "I'm thankful for family, for health, and for watching my daughters grow into the women they are today." She shared a knowing look with Barack. Without a word, they knew this was the peak of their journey as parents, and the start of their journey as grandparents. When Barack's turn came, he looked at his granddaughter with a softness no one had ever seen from him. He said, "I'm thankful for the chance to see the world through new eyes." Her eyes. Finally, Malia spoke, wiping away a quiet tear. "I'm thankful for love, for support, for my family, and for the tiny person who changed my world completely." By evening, the family settled into the living room. The fireplace glowed softly. Jazz, Barack's favorite, played in the background. But even with the cozy atmosphere, this moment felt different. Time seemed to pause. The baby, asleep in Barack's arms, was the still center of everything. Even in sleep, she held the room together. Michelle rested her hand on Barack's shoulder, her eyes filled with pride. It wasn't just about them anymore. It was about the legacy they had built and what they were now passing on. Barack glanced at Malia, who watched them with a calm, peaceful smile. It wasn't the usual confidence he knew from her. It was something quieter, deeper. She had stepped into a role that would define the future. As Barack held his granddaughter, everything he'd ever done, every battle, every challenge, felt small compared to this. The world didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt precious. Michelle saw the change in him too, and she smiled. In this quiet, simple moment, Barack wasn't the former president. He was just a grandfather. And honestly, it was beautiful. Years of pressure, scrutiny, and public expectation melted away. Michelle had spent decades balancing motherhood, partnership, and the public eye. But now this chapter felt intimate, personal. Watching Barack and Malia with their baby, she felt the full circle of life hitting home. She had rocked her own babies to sleep, and now she was witnessing her daughters stepping into motherhood themselves. A passing of the torch, unexpected, yet embraced with open hearts. Sasha, quietly sketching the scene in her notebook, looked up with a grin. She'd always been the artistic soul of the family, but today she was seeing the world through new eyes. Her niece wasn't just a new family member, she was a symbol of what lay ahead, a future shaped by the next generation. Sasha didn't need words. Her love was obvious in the way she watched, careful not to disturb her niece's peaceful sleep. The room shifted from memories to possibilities. What kind of world would this baby grow up in? What life awaited her? No one had answers, but hope filled the space. Barack, who once carried the weight of the world, now thought about simple joys, names, traditions, watching this little one grow. Softly he asked, "What kind of world do we want her to grow up in?" Michelle squeezed his hand. "A world full of love, kindness, and family. A world where she finds peace in the chaos." Sasha nodded thoughtfully. "A world where she can follow her dreams just like we did." The room was filled with unity, love, and hope. This wasn't about the Obama legacy. It was about this little girl writing her own story, with family to guide her, support her, and love her. As evening fell, reflections continued. Barack looked at his granddaughter and whispered, "She's perfect." Michelle, ever the loving partner, placed her hand on his knee. "She is, truly." And in that quiet, the world outside, the demands, headlines, the spotlight, faded. What mattered was the baby's soft breath, the warmth of family, and the love surrounding her. Hours passed. The Thanksgiving evening slowly gave way to night. The baby rested peacefully in her bassinet, cocooned by family love. Malia, Sasha, Barack, and Michelle lingered by the fireplace, sharing quiet moments. Their voices hummed along with the crackling wood. Barack leaned down and kissed his granddaughter's forehead. He whispered, "She's the future." And in that room, everyone felt the weight and wonder of that truth. Michelle rested her head on his shoulder. She said softly, "We've done our part. Now it's her turn to write her story." It was a rare moment. No speeches, no cameras, no public appearances. Just family. Just love. Sasha, putting down her sketchbook, curled up by the fire with a blanket. She said, "I'm going to frame this. One day I'll give it to her so she understands how special this moment was." Barack chuckled, "Not letting her grow up too fast, huh?" "No chance." Sasha laughed. "I'm going to teach her everything. The cool aunt promises that." Laughter filled the room, and for